Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Bill Jordan here. This is Candid Art Interviews with Bill Jordan. Now, candid art interviews are important for those artists who want to take care of business. Why? Because people buy from people they know. And how people know you? By your story you tell. All right? So you could be a sculptor, a painter, or a candlestick maker. You have to tell your story. That's what we're going to do today. Today we have a fantastic story all the way from San Clemente, California, but by the way of Maryland. We have Maria Brophy. Hi, Maria. How are you doing today?
Hi. Good. How are you?
Good. How was the commute in?
Well, it's like really short, 5 minutes.
Oh, wow. Lucky you, right? Lucky you.
I know. I planned it that way.
Oh, my God. And you got your cappuccino as well, right?
I do. Look at that. Oh.
So I understand you just came out of a very electrifying meeting.
Yeah. So for the past year, Drew and I, for the past few years, every year we try to step it up. And what I mean by that is step up our clientele, step up the dollar amounts that we're charging, step up the artwork to make it more valuable, better, just trying to constantly grow the business in every possible way. And we just had a great meeting this morning. And so I apologize for being a little scattered when you called me to say, hey, are you ready to get started? But it's good. We had a meeting with a couple architects and interior designers to create custom pieces for a very big, beautiful new building that's being
congratulations.
Put together in Southern California. Yeah. And so it was good. It was a good meeting. And I thought about wearing my business suit to this meeting, and then right before I left the house this morning, I thought, I don't wear business suits. What am I doing? And I changed.
Right. you're in your California suit.
Right. This is for California. This is dressing right here.
I know. I lived in California for a while. So now, San Clemente, is that Southern California or is that?
So it's San Clemente. It's directly in the middle between Los Angeles and San Diego. So literally 66 miles south of LA, 66 miles north of San Diego.
Okay. You got a 66, Route 66. Very good. So now, let me ask you, you're from Maryland, right?
Originally. Not many people know that.
Well, now they do. So now, being from Maryland, I read that you were doing some really top secret government work. What is that all about?
I did. I worked for the United States Army Medical Research Institute of Chemical Defense. And the acronym for the place that I worked was the USAMRICD. And I can't believe I still remember that. Hang on, can you turn that heat off, please? It's killing me. Thank you. Sorry. So they did medical research. I was a civilian that worked amongst people. There were a lot of enlisted people that worked there, and then there were also scientists and doctors, and they were doing medical research to discover ways to protect the human body from things like Agent Orange and other chemical warfare.
Right.
And it was an interesting place to work. And at that time, I was a teenager when I got that job. I was 17 when I first started working there. But at the time, I thought I was going to go into that field of maybe biology.
Okay.
And so, but I changed my major in college so many times that I ended up never finishing college. So biology was like my first major. Right. And then I changed my mind numerous times after that and went to numerous colleges all over the country.
Oh my gosh. So art was your first major, is that right?
No, biology was.
Oh, biology.
Biology.
And then, so how did you make that segue from Baltimore, from Maryland, all the way to California? What drove you out there?
As a kid, living in the sticks in the middle of Maryland, nowhere near the ocean, even though Maryland does have beaches, but I didn't live anywhere near them. And I never liked the cold weather. I dreamed of living at the beach. And Florida would have been a lot closer, or New Jersey would have been a lot closer, but I don't like to be cold. I didn't really like Florida that much. So I dreamed about it, but I was living in Cockeysville, which is like a suburb or a little town outside of Baltimore, part of Baltimore County at the time. And I had a neighbor, a young guy who lived next door to me, come over one day. And we lived in apartment complexes. And he came over and he said, I was in my bedroom, like curling my hair with a hair dryer. And he plopped down on his bed, on my bed, and he said, you know, I'm going to move to California and be a rock star. Want to come? And I'm drying my hair, and I turned the hair dryer off, and I set it down, and I said, yeah.
Wow, man.
And 2 weeks later, I threw everything I could fit in this little tiny car of mine with no plan, tiny bit of money, not much. I got rid of all my furniture. I literally gave everything away.
Right.
And I came to California and eventually got a number of jobs and settled into the insurance industry.
And was that San Clemente? Was it Los Angeles?
I moved around a lot. I started in LA. I lived in the LA area for a while. Then I went to Huntington Beach, and then I ended up in San Clemente.
Okay.
Was my last stop, my last move.
Where were you living in Los Angeles? What section?
I lived in an area called West Covina. So it's not exactly Los Angeles, but
okay,
close.
All right.
Like near Pasadena, that area.
Yeah, I lived in Altadena for a while.
Oh, yeah, so you know where it is, yeah.
Yeah.
But for people who don't live here, like it's easier for me to say LA.
Of course. Go ahead. So you got into the insurance business. How was that?
So I got a job working for this insurance agency. And I worked my way up. I was very ambitious. I really wanted to make money. And I started out, oh my God, I remember my pay was $1,300 a month. And I mean, so this was a really long time ago. And I'm not going to tell you exactly what year, because then everybody will guess how old I am. But it was a long time ago. I was making $1,300 a month, and it was a full-time job, but I worked my way up, and I wormed my way into sales, and it was a male-dominated business. Women didn't get to do the cool jobs like sales, and sales was the good job because the better you were at it, the more you could make. There was no ceiling.
Right.
And I was good at sales, so I finally got into sales. They finally let me, and I did an incredible job. And then part of my job also became, I was in charge of negotiating deals with carriers like Blue Cross, companies like that. I knew nothing about insurance, okay? And I knew nothing about contracts, and I knew nothing about negotiating. It's crazy that I ended up doing any of this.
How did you learn?
Just by doing. And my boss, the president of the company, he put a lot of faith in me. He actually was a good guy. He sort of groomed me a bit. Okay. And it was the other people that worked there, the other guys that I butt heads with all the time. They didn't like.
Right, I know.
Success.
Right.
It was very threatening to them.
Right.
And anyway, and then I ended up being in charge of like the contracts, like the actual contract language. And I did not want that job. And the lady that was in charge of it dumped it on me, and I fought and I fought. I said, no, I don't know what I'm doing. And somehow what happened?
I think your connection's a little unstable.
Sorry about that.
So the contracts.
So I ended up handling actual contracts. And I'm so glad now that I did, because it helped me so much with the art business.
Isn't life a wonderful thing? You know, like you say, I don't want to do that, but later on you say, okay, I see why, right?
I fought it and fought it. Yeah.
So what happened? You know, why did you leave the insurance business? You got tired of it? What happened?
Well, I didn't, I liked my job because I got to travel with it. And part of my job was wining and dining clients in very expensive restaurants. And I love to eat fine food.
Oh, okay.
I love to drink fine wine. And I love it even more when somebody else is paying for it.
Exactly.
So that was a big perk. But I didn't like the people I worked with. Not all of them. There were a lot of people. It was a very dysfunctional company.
Okay.
Not nice people. They really cut you down, and it really held me back from growing as much as I wanted to grow. But then I met my husband. I met him literally 20 years ago, and he's an artist, and he's a very gifted artist, and he was already working full-time professionally as an artist. He was 25 years old, painting surfboards for a living and creating designs for t-shirts and things. And when I met him, it was like, I remember one night I was at his apartment, and he was painting a surfboard. He was sitting on the floor, on the carpet, painting, and I'm just hanging out, watching him. And just this light bulb went off in my head as I'm watching, and I thought, oh my God, this guy has so much talent, and he hasn't even tapped, the surface of what he can do with it.
Right.
And we got serious pretty quick. We were dating, and I just started handling his marketing for him. While I was working my job, I would just help him out with marketing. And then after a couple of years, I started handling business deals for him.
Wow.
And so for quite a few years, I just kind of took everything over. And at one point, he just said, take it all. Handle my banking. I don't even want to see another check. I don't want to see another bank statement. I don't want to talk to another client unless...
Was that before or after the marriage?
Yeah, pretty much. And then one day I had a big fight at work at the insurance company with the vice president. Huge fight at a board meeting in front of 8 other people. And it was such a big fight. This guy was always putting me down and really treating me badly. And I had enough, and I just fought back where normally I didn't. And the very next day I went into the boss and said, I quit. And so I quit, and then I went to work with Drew full time after that. And so that was how I went from insurance to art. Drew was my bridge.
So a bridge to get to, and so now you're married, you have 2 daughters, right?
We have a son and a daughter. Don't feel bad about thinking my son is a girl, because in all his pictures, his hair is really long. And until he grew a mustache a year ago, yeah, he looks kind of like a girl in that picture.
How old is your son?
So, in that picture, he was 13. He's 15 now.
Okay, and your daughter, how old is she?
She is 16.
Okay, sweet 16, right? And is that one of the maestro's creations in the back?
Yep. And as a matter of fact, that's the painting that's behind me before it's finished.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. Oh, I see. Yes, I see the difference.
I just realized that. Yeah.
Yeah, I see that.
Yep. That's it.
Beautiful work. And so now Drew, is he a surfer as well?
He is an avid surfer. He travels around the world surfing giant waves.
Now, I know he's been to the North Shore, right?
Yeah, he actually lived on the North Shore for about 3 years.
Get out of here. Okay.
Yeah, he moved there. He got a job painting surfboards there when he was like 22. And he lived there and surfed there and painted surfboards for some of the most famous surfers in the world back then.
I know the North Shore waves are notorious for being big.
Yeah.
You have to,
Oh,
you have to really be bad to hang 10 out there.
yeah, for sure.
For sure.
It's really dangerous,
Right.
but also awesome.
Yeah, I can imagine. So now you're doing the. Oh, by the way, what's your, now you're in the art business? What is your philosophy about that? About, what's your philosophy?
My philosophy on, well, depends on what specifically do you mean.
Well, you have a philosophy about artists. What our role of an artist is in the world. Is it your opinion that the artist should be like suffering, struggling, or what?
You know, well, here, I don't know if I have so much of a philosophy, but here's what I've learned is that for some people, the art business is actually easy. For a small percentage of people, and it's because they have certain traits in their personality, or they've trained themselves to develop certain habits that have made things work for them.
For example, what's an
So,
example?
for example, the willingness to operate their art business like a business, willingness to do it.
Well, how else could you do that? I mean, it's a business.
No, there are so many artists that this is what they say. Oh my God, I don't have a business mind. I can't do that. I just want somebody to do it for me. Will you do this for me? Will you do this for me? Will you do this for me? Now, I don't blame them for not wanting to do it themselves because their brains aren't wired naturally for the business side of things. Maybe. But it's rare to be able to find somebody to handle all that stuff for you. So you have to learn how to do a lot of it yourself.
Right.
And over time, you can maybe hire an assistant or someone to take portions of your business off of your plate. Like the things that I do for Drew, we're in this, we have a system where I handle everything for him now.
Right.
But before I came into his life, he had to learn how to do all that himself. And he did because he had to. And if he didn't earn money with his art, he would starve. He had no plan B.
Right. He burned the bridges.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think that people have to be willing to learn some of the strategies that will help them make money with their art, if that's what they want. I don't think everybody needs to be a professional artist. I know a lot of artists that create art for fun and they make money some other way through another job, or they're supported by a spouse, or they have a trust fund or whatever.
So, but in your case, you're dealing with professional artists who want to get a leg up.
Yes.
And I understand that, you're saying that like a professional athlete or professional musician, there's always more training to do. Isn't that right?
Absolutely. Yeah, you can't stop learning. I never stop learning. Even though I'm better at sales than your average person, I take sales courses online all the time to up my game.
Right, okay.
I'm trying to learn new things. I'm doing, trying to think of the last course I took. I took a course on confidence because I felt like I get nervous in meetings. When I have a meeting with clients, like this morning's meeting, I was so nervous. And like logically, I know it's illogical. I've been doing this for years. I know my stuff. Drew, we have Drew's been doing this stuff for years. Why I get nervous, I don't know. I think it's because it's so important to me to make a good impression. So So that's why I took a confidence course a few months ago to learn how to better generate confidence in myself. So when I have a meeting with like 5 interior designers, I feel okay.
So what did that course, how did that course help you? I mean, make you feel more relaxed? Besides being more I know you're more confident, but.
Well, I think, I mean, I'm really confident one-on-one like this, or I'm confident if you throw me into a party where I don't know anybody, I'll make friends. But you put me in a business setting for whatever reason, I get nervous because all eyes are on me, you know, or me and Drew. And maybe I get nervous because it's so important. So what the confidence course that I took, I think the biggest thing I got out of that, and now I'm telling people this, I'm sharing this with people, you're not born with confidence. You have to generate it from within. And confidence grows with practice. And I think that's the most important thing I learned because it made me realize, okay, I have to practice. I have to, you know, the old saying, like, if you imagine yourself being a certain way, act that way until it becomes real. It's kind of like that.
So you do, you coach artists, is that correct?
I do. I don't really call myself a coach. I call myself a consultant because what I do is I solve problems for people.
Oh,
and the
okay.
difference between a coach and a consultant, this is my difference. I don't know if this is written down anywhere or if anybody would even agree with this. But I think with a coach, they'll work with you, they'll work with your mindset a lot and the inner dialogue you have going on.
Right.
Consultants will solve a specific problem. And so, for example, an artist will set up a consulting call with me to help them figure out how to put together a deal with a client. And what that means is, how much do I charge? What should I ask them for? What should I give them for what I'm charging? What should I have a contract? If I do, what are important things to have in that contract? How do I handle it if they ask me to lower my price? Just solving problems.
Right, it's like structuring the deal. You're structuring the deal.
Yeah. Or like one artist wrote me and said, I haven't raised my prices in 5 years. How do I raise my prices? And so we set up a time for a consulting call, and I help them determine how much they should change their prices to, and then how to notify their existing clients that they're raising their prices. And then we did get in a mindset a little bit because they were afraid to raise their prices. They were nervous about it, afraid to lose clients. And so I helped them come up with phrases, word phrases to use to help their clients understand the value they're getting with these higher prices.
So here's one of my friends. I told one of my friends I'm going to speak with you today, and I asked her if she had any questions she wanted to ask, and she'd like to know, how can a representational artist compete with these digital artists?
Well, if she were here right now, I'd ask her, why does she feel like she has to compete with them? I'm wondering, I'm going to try to get into her head and understand what she means by that. Is she talking about, so you've got an artist that's creating art on the computer.
Yes. And then you have one who's done traditional representational work.
So what is her medium that she uses? Like, is she painting on canvas? Is she?
Yes, she paints on canvas.
So she's painting, okay, so she's painting original paintings on canvas. There's no competition there. Well, I guess it depends on who her customers are, but initially the first thing that comes to mind for me is if she's selling to people who collect art collectors, true art collectors, they usually go for original paintings, not something digital.
Right, right.
Unless there's something really special about that digital art, like something really unique and, brilliant about it. But really, it's two different things. It's like saying, how does someone who paints oil abstracts compete with a sculptor? I think it's two different markets, really.
Right.
Or two different.
They're two different mediums.
It's just two different things.
Right.
It's not the same thing. But if she wanted to know how does she compete with other artists who are doing the same similar work as her, if you can develop a distinct style that's your own, you've got a leg up on everybody else. Or if you become known for something. So, and this is like being in a niche. So let's say you paint a certain subject matter. Like a great example is my husband, Drew,
Right.
who became known for painting surf art. And that's a subject matter. And not everybody's going to like it. Most people in middle America are not going to like it unless they have a love for the beach, and a love for surfing and a love for bright colors.
Right.
Or let's say she paints horses and she's into the equestrian lifestyle. I always use this as an example because it's a great example. If you're into a certain lifestyle and your paintings reflect that lifestyle, you become known for that. So like Drew became known as an artist in the surf world, and you could become known as an artist in the equestrian world or the Harley Davidson world, or the whatever
world you're in.
Yeah, and then let's say you like to do landscapes, and so that's kind of harder to narrow down because landscapes are everywhere, right? Or could be all over the world. You could focus a lot of your paintings on a particular area that you love. So we have a landscape painter here in my town. His name is Paul Gavin, and he paints San Clemente scenes, and he's known for that. He's became very well known as the guy you go to if you want an authentic scene of the lifestyle of San Clemente, and he'll paint landscapes of the pier and the beach and the mountains, because we actually have mountains behind us.
Mm-hmm.
And the town. So that's how you compete, is you focus on an area, whether it's a geographical area, it's a lifestyle, or it's a medium. That's another thing you can do, is focus on like a particular medium. Like if you have a unique method of painting, let's say you're an abstract artist and you're doing something different that nobody else is doing, using several different kinds of materials to get a different textured effect or something. Right. You become known for that.
Okay, well that's a very detailed explanation. I'm glad you took time to share. No, that's
making me talk too much.
Oh no, that's all right. But I just have to say one thing. We have a word from our sponsors here. That's sponsors from the Academy of Composition. That's where you can go get all your art skills honed down. In other words, like if you're a composer, an artist, and you're struggling with your work, go to Core 80. I went there when I was struggling with my work, and what happened was I became a better painter. Go over there, see Don Victor. He's a great guy, and I guarantee he'll help you out. With that being said, I want to let you know that we have a word from our producer as well, that in 8 minutes we have to sign off, but don't go away because we're going to come back on with the second episode. So in the meantime, let's go on to the next visual piece here. This is Art, Money, Success with Maria Brophy, right?
Yes.
And this is the master at work.
That is a photo of Drew before he painted at the very beginning of that's an 18-foot mural that he did.
So how does he go about doing this? He lays it out first?
He'll spend a lot of time working on sketches and getting the composition just right, getting it exactly the way he wants. Sometimes he'll draw up 10 or 12 different sketches and throw them all away but one. And the sketching is always the hardest part, coming up with the ideas and laying them out so they look great. And then with this mural, he painted it using water-based paint pens. And he likes to use those water-based paint pens on a lot of things because he can get a lot of detail and he can blend the colors the way he wants.
Right.
And that's what the mural behind me was painted with as well.
Those are water-based paint pens?
Yes, they're called Unipost.
How does he seal it? What does he seal it with?
So afterwards, he'll seal it with a clear spray, or I'm not sure what he seals the murals with. It depends on where it's going. But a lot of things he'll seal with a clear spray.
Okay.
And so it's protected forever.
Wow. Okay. That's really awesome stuff. I can see now why you're always busy, because he's doing great work. I wanted to ask you this: how did he get into the flower of life stuff?
Well, as a surfer is always paying attention to the weather because they want to go out and surf when the waves are good. And so surfers actually become amateur meteorologists. And so that led Drew into studying physics and solar dynamics. And he's always had a strong interest in ancient history. And he's like an amateur historian or a step above that.
Uh-huh.
And he's always been fascinated by that. So those things actually come together, believe it or not. Ancient wisdom. The flower of life pattern is found in stones that were carved 12,000 years ago. And he was led to being interested in the flower of life patterns and sacred geometry through physics and science of how everything works, and the science of water molecules and atoms and the galaxies and how it all connects.
How it all fits together. So I just, I asked that question because when I first started, that's what I started with.
Really?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
How did you do that?
Right. I had a book on the sacred geometry.
Do you remember the author?
I'm trying to think of his name now. He's from Australia.
Wow.
In the second episode, the second part, I'll have the name for you and I'll give it to you. But
okay.
That's how I started out. And then when I saw, it's very rare you see people doing the flower of life or the tree of life, or all that sacred geometry stuff. And I said, okay, this is a deep guy.
He's very, well, let me put it to you this way. You could ask Drew almost anything about physics, sacred geometry, ancient history, and he knows stuff. He knows off the top of his head. His mind is he's like a walking computer program encyclopedia, like history buff. It's phenomenal. And me, I'm interested in that stuff, but more from a metaphysical point of view. Like I into crystals and energy work and things like that.
So you do energy work?
I don't do it personally. I have a lot of friends do, and I go for energy work to get done on me.
Okay.
At times when I need help with things. Yeah.
What about your yoga practice?
Yeah, I love yoga. Yeah, yoga helps with a lot of things.
So you do that? Okay, so tell us. Well, we don't have a couple of minutes left, so I won't ask you to go through the typical day let's end it with your typical day. What time you get up? What's it like every day? What do you do?
I usually wake up about pretty early, about 5:45 every morning, and I do a little meditation, a little tiny bit of yoga stretches, and then I have a little journal I write in, so I do all that, and then I drive my son to school at 6:20, and
Okay.
isn't that terrible? Um, Drew usually comes to the studio at like 9:30 every morning. I stroll in about 11 because
Okay.
I do a lot of work from home. I'm either writing. I do a lot of my thinking work at my kitchen table because I don't get any interruptions. And here at the studio, people walk in I just can't go deep into thought. So every day is different though, because some days I'm writing newsletters for Drew. Some days I'm writing newsletters for my own blog. I'm writing my own blog posts.
Great.
I do consulting, and really my consulting consists of me talking to an artist client on the phone for an hour, working on helping them solve a problem. And that's only about 15% of my time, maybe sometimes 20%.
Okay.
The majority of my time is figuring out how to sell Drew's art, or having meetings, doing follow-ups, and just coming up with campaigns. It's always different.
Okay. So with that, just hold that thought now. We have to sign out, folks, because our producer is telling us to sign off. What we're going to do, we're going to sign off, but we come back. We got to join us soon in a few minutes. Hold on.